Okay, so this is obviously a Galaxy DX99V, and Darren sent a couple radios over here, and he said they did not work. They didn't fire up on his power supply. So I'm like, okay, cool. That's scary. And I put this on the table last night. I was going to do a video on it, but my heart's not into this radio for some reason. Anyway, I don't know. Tell me your thoughts. Give me your thoughts down below in the comments. But anyway, I turned the thing on, and sure enough, it's dead. And so I wiggle the connector in the back and get the old marker out and start tapping on it and playing around, futzing around with the controls. And in about that 2-minute time frame, I saw that the display over here started kind of rambling very dimly. And at the front end here, panel light, the meter, the display, and the channel selector started coming in. But no audio. I mean, you could see action was going on, but it's still no volume. So again, I'm putzing around with these, and they didn't feel abnormal, not too loose or all stoved up or anything like that. Band selector was dead, selector was dead. Anyway, I went through all modes and functions, and another minute or two after that, I get some static coming out of it. However, again, no band change, no mode change, nothing. Just kind of like it was stuck somewhere. And a few minutes later, I got a little bit of static coming out of it, and I'm like, all right, I'm not going to play this game. So what I did is I jacked up the volume because I had to go upstairs and get some stuff done, and I just let her sit here and percutute on the bench, and I'll be doggone. About a half hour later, because I had this on AM somewhere. I want to say it was on 19, and somewhere in there. Anyway, I heard voices coming through this thing loud and clear. So ran down here, and by gosh, she works. So this is a cold fire up from the next morning. All right. So I let this thing run for about 6 hours, and it was working pretty good. All right. So I'm on an antenna. I have volume up all the way, RF gains up all the way. And that's not channel 6. Okay. Band switch is where it's supposed to be. High on A. And there's where we're at. Let's see if the 10kc switch works. Doesn't matter, it's kind of rambling all over anyway. Woo. Alright. We'll let her percutute for a while. Okay, so 7 minutes later, I've got static coming through. And it says we're there. Again, I'm where I'm supposed to be. Let's see, let's change bands. How about modes? We have sideband. Oh, there we go. Look at this. That was interesting. All right, let's let her cook for a while. All right, well, we're at about a half-hour mark here. Actually, quite a while ago, I just decided to just crack the darn thing open, see what's going on. And yeah, I probably should have done this in the first place, but anyway. Well, got some interesting stuff going on here. There's $3 worth of heat shrink. What the hell is going on here? All right, I am not familiar with this. This goes to that toggly switch. I had critters living in here. That's cool. All right, well, you know what? Let's cut power to this. In fact, this plug is going to have to be changed. The center pin is pushed in, and that can be dangerous, especially if you have a well-worn cord-sided plug there. Plug on the cord side. All right, let's see what's going on here. See if I can get this out with one hand. Nah. Oh, by the way, this was done by this guy back in '99. Truckerized. That's what was in that shrinky thing. Huh. Oh, let's plug it back in. Let's say it still doesn't run, does it? So it wants to hear, and it's coming back a little bit. Okay. Well, I had the receive come back for a second. Went over here to turn down the volume. And it just kind of died, but it's not in here. So this should be 27185. It will key. It is footing out power, but it's all over the place. It's all, my power meter's just going all over. It's rambling too. So it's transmitting while it's doing that. That's pretty cool. I'm waiting for it to get to 19. Yeah, and there it bends. All right, so we're into this about an hour total, just back and forth checking it out. I put the sound module back in the heat shrink, continued on with the wedge mount action going on there, tapped around on that board, just did some visual inspection. Of course, obviously, rarely ever do you ever see anything just outright blowed up, but I've had something go. Yeah, this thing's been messed with, that's for sure. All right, well, I'm just gonna let it cook. These are known for solder joint issues. Anyway, that was rumor back in the day when these were around. So I just dropped it on the bench 5 or 6 times, trying to find 19 here. Just like this. I just did that a half dozen times, and shazam, she came back to life. I had reception, RF output, but I'm gonna put this, actually the radio is now on a dummy load. So let's see if we can do this here. All right. Oh, that's on FM, that's not gonna fly. Okay, so here's the noise toy. Let's see here. Why do I have no audio? There we go, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, too much. Oh, come on. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. There we go. All right, here we go. See if I can do this with one hand. That is so dumb. What do we have for power? We have about 8 watts there. Reverse modulating to 5. Alright, that's what that one's showing. So let's see what we're doing on single sidebands. Over to lower side. 272. I think I'll hit almost 30. 30 bird. No feel good watts this is. Let's turn on the feel good watts. This is just for giggles. Okay, 30. Okay, well, anyway, I'm just going to let this thing broil for the rest of the day. I've got stuff to do. I'm going to put this back in the heat shrink there and re-wedge mount it, flip her back right side up, and I'm just going to let this roll. So obviously it's going to be a solder joint thing. It seems to be all modes and functions now work. Some of these switches are going to need some cleanup, but yeah, well, that's what I get. I was going to write this thing off. All right, so I was just getting ready to walk away with this thing, and it started making some scratching noises. So I started tapping in here. There's some cans on the other side. I'll have to look. I mean, I haven't tipped it back upside down, but anyway, there you go. So got some little weird jumpers. I'm not too sure how factory that is, but these boards were kind of goofy if I remember. Need to move the camera so I can actually see. Let's go back over here. We'll flip over to the other side. Let me loosen that coax a bit. Been eating a lot of coax connectors lately. It's time for my once every 10-year coax connector roundup. Where are we there? Come on, Mike. Oh, there we are. Duh. Anyway, I have a feeling we're right in here, and I wanted to see if there was any mods. Yeah, see? All right, cool. Okay, so it's acting the way these Galaxy boards act. Pretty good AM side for sure. Haven't checked FM, but nobody cares. Sideband is like it should be. Typical high noise situation on single sideband. Look, these are just, this chassis, or the original design here, what we used to call, or what I used to call, a unit and clone, the EPT 3600 board, was just a sweet chassis, the original first few versions. In fact, I have a couple up here. I should do a A-B comparison. Stay tuned for that video. But anyway, the sideband on these are a little noisier than I'd like. AM is fine. So on these radios, the coarse clarifier is unlocked, and you have that center detent there, and this shaft or pop must be in here squampity, but because it's not, detent's not at straight up 12 o'clock. But these radios have always been like, you just, to get them on center slot, it's just a hair off the detent to the right. And then the fine clarifier is like a KC ish, and it's receive only. So this is unlocked, this is locked, and I prefer this unlocked for the fine, and then you can just leave this in the detent and then just ride this thing like right there, and that's my preference. Anyway, 10 KC switch, so it's obviously going to need an alignment, but this whole section in here, and there were areas over here that had to be done as well. This is just really shag nasty solder work, and I'm gonna say some of it was due to some of the mods, but there were some factory solder joints in there that were really bad. So anyway, she's a runner. I could put 6 more rolls of solder in this thing just go through the whole thing. And as it sits on the bench, I probably will just go and do a section at a time, but I just spotted over everything that I could see real quick. And she's back to life, and it's running the way it should. You don't have that mega noise on AM. I mean, just that IF section in there, just yeah, solder joints all along. So I went and did pretty much most of the cans in there. Anyway, so I let her percutute. Now I'm going to go up and get some yard work done. I've been on this thing for about an hour now, hour and a half, with all the burn-in time coming back and forth. So it may be worthy of a replacement knob. I didn't think it was going to be worthy of a knob, but we'll see. Okay, it's about 8 hours after that last clip. And I've been in and out, checking on this, doing chores around here, and this sucker is looking pretty good, pretty stable. I've thrashed it around. Don't need to beat the crap out of it anymore. I'm going to take another glance here and see if I need to do any more solder joints. I mean, again, I could probably waste 6 rolls of solder on this thing. But anyway, one thing I noticed that I thought was kind of interesting. So they've hot glued the 3-pin power connector, and I'm going to replace that. But look at that. Isn't there supposed to be something there? This thing's truckerized big time, and that's okay. The install on this was okay. I mean, that's not bad. I'm not going to slam that at all, really. And again, some bad solder joints to some mods. I think somebody tried to wideband this, but I'm not really sure, you know, as far as like receive audio goes. It's got a beautiful, beautiful AM receiver in it. And some of those big dog stations sound real hi-fi on this. Anyway, it's just a nice AM receiver. Sideband, they're a little noisy, so we'll see what happens there. But I'm gonna address this situation back here. I'll add a cap to it. I know that's pretty much the glue, but I don't know. I want to pull that anyway. And while it's out, we'll just put some good caps in there. There's a couple known caps in here that I like to do anyway, but it's not that old. I don't think it's going to need anything else. And again, it's been pretty good here on the bench. So I'll take care of this stuff, and we'll see if we can get the old golden screwdriver to this puppy and see what happens. I'll bet you it's pretty darn close. I'll bet you hardly anything's moved. All right, I'm on day 3 of this little cream puff here, and overall, as far as parts go, not really much going on. This was pretty much solder joints all throughout the device here, the unit. These little shield plates were put back on very improperly. I'm not really sure why somebody was in there unless they were trying to troubleshoot this at some point in time. And as you saw earlier in the video, last guy that worked on this, I think dated it 1999. So anyway, it has been off overnight, so about 12 hours, almost 12 hours. So before we put the lids back on, we're going to give her one last fire up, and we'll see what happens. Now, this thing got me a couple days ago. I thought I had this thing knocked out. All modes and functions worked very well. And it's not a bad little radio, just kind of old. This thing's over 25 years old at this point, I believe. So anyway, we'll turn it on. Anyway, a couple days ago, I went to turn it on, and it was still muffed up. And it shows when it's cold, and that's usually solder joints. All right. I mean, yeah, components do that too, but It's a Galaxy. I mean, this is kind of expected. Nice. Okay, now that'll settle down. It's been aligned, it's on frequency. When it's cold, it's a Galaxy. You know, these EPT 3600 boards, clone boards, were just that way. Meter's a little wonky, but that's okay. This may warrant putting a knob on here. I don't have a Superstar / export radio knob, so we'll have to come up with something. But all modes and functions work. Nice. All right, let's take some readings here. So just before we go any further, I just want to tell you, I've run it in each mode for about 8 to 10, maybe 12 hours in each mode. And I was taught this by a guy way back in the 80s, and he said when you're troubleshooting these things or after you service it, just any time while you have it, run it in each mode for 6 to 8 hours. I go over that, and the thinking behind this is, especially a radio like this, apparently this has been in a shed for 10 plus years, and what I like to do is send voltage to each circuit for a given amount of time, for a long period of time. So basically, when we're in AM, the AM section of this radio, basically, where the parts involved in this circuit have 8 to 12 volts going to them, but the upper lower sideband do not. When I go to upper sideband, the parts that are involved in that circuit, capacitors are reforming, doing whatever, percutooting in there, and that's working on that circuit. Same thing with lower sideband. A lot of radios seem to be either used on lower side or AM, so I pay attention to FM and upper side. I just kind of work all the modes in, all right? It's just something I do. I don't really see any real techs, right, or creditable techs, like Mike's Repair. I've never seen anybody do that. So I don't know if I'm just being weird, but this works for me, and I've been doing this since the 80s, and that's just what I do on all my radios, okay? So anyway, RF output on this at the beginning was kind of crazy. It was almost 9 watts dead key, about 8.5, 9 watts dead key, reverse modulating down to about 4.5. I don't like that. I don't want that high carrier, and you lose audio, okay, even on these radios. So, and then single sideband was up around 32 watts or so peak. So definitely truck stop, truckerized radio for sure. Just balls to the walls, everything balls to the walls. I took out some board jumpers and mods that were done in here, cleaned up a little bit of the solder work on that voice module that was in here. Anyways, she seems to be in pretty good shape now, so let's do this. I've had several mornings here on a cold startup, and now she's working perfect. So this radio's cold. So let's do AM here. So we're gonna just do a little AM check here on our little bench unit. Hello, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Now I'm using one of my favorite caliber stock mics. This is a pretty hot little rig. Let's go to FM. Now Galaxies have never really been an FM performer, but this is nice and clean. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Okay, so no problem there. Go over here to the watt meter. Okay, so I've got her about 4.5 watts. That's about what that thing was reverse modulating to. And hello, radio audio. So, you know, we get 1.5 watts, 2 watts forward swing RMS. Go to single sidebands. Bottom scale, 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 3. Got a lot of talk power right there. Hello, 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 hello. So we got some good talk power there. All right, that's in RMS, no PEP feel good watts this is. Okay, again, all modes and functions work as they should. And I'm going to leave the noise toy in. I wasn't told to undo any of that kind of stuff, so let's try the noise toy. Let's go with FM. Let's see. I've never tried it in FM, so we'll see how that works. Yeah, it's weird. Okay, anyway, when I first got this, I was like, I don't even want to work on this thing, right? Because just these things have a bad history. And missing knob, and kind of in the back of my mind is like, will this thing ever warrant a knob? So I don't have an exact replacement knob. I do have like a Bearcat type knob here. So anyway, I may or may not come up with something better, but yeah, I think it's justified to put a knob on it. Again, all modes and functions work well, and this radio works like a Galaxy DX99. This is mostly an AM box in my opinion. These are unstable on sideband until they warm up, and if you start ratchet jawing on them, you still got to move the clarifier around, but it's a decent entry-level sideband rig, I think. So, all right, let's put her back together. Might even clean it up a little bit. All right, man, so this cream puff is finished. I'm feeling pretty good about it. Done pretty much at this point all the solder joints in here. I've nailed about 90% of them. Reapplied the shields. In fact, I'm glad I pulled those up. The little shields here that cover the PLL section here, the solder work on there was very shag nasty. There was just on the one shield, there's like four corners, like one corner was held on. The solder joints on those were terrible. And that's just due to not enough temp on the pen, in my opinion, or just, I don't know, lack of knowing how to solder, I guess. So anyway, I'm glad I tore those off, because underneath one was a board repair. I don't know why somebody tried to cut some foil there, and then they decided to back out of it and fix it. They did a terrible job on that. Cleaned that up, got those shields installed back to the way they should be. Again, most of the solder joints, as far as the alignment goes on this thing, holy crap, this thing was almost 100% spot on in every way except final bias. Way out of a line on that. And wow, I'm actually surprised that these things work, so that's awesome. I'm happy with the output and the performance of it, considering what it is, right? Not slamming the Galaxies, but these are not really a sideband radio in my opinion. And currently, the phase of radio that or the stage of radio awareness or whatever usage that I'm in right now is sideband, and I go back and forth from AM to sideband. These are ruthless little AM boxes for sure, but this is gonna do the owner just fine. Okay, so excuse me. So as far as parts, hardly anything. This was mostly bench time labor. The 3-pin unit and power plug was janky. Of course, we saw that. It was hot glued in. When this center pin gets pushed back in there the way this one was, that can allow to have a person. Well, this will enable a person to plug the thing in wrong if they choose to do so, and that will let the smoke out. And it looks like that was done. That diode was poofed, the one that went across there. But anyway, so new DC plug, new chokes, and so all that's new. And then because caps really, I mean, I haven't really seen one of these radio with cap issues at all. These are all decent capacitors. Where'd that go? Don't roll off. 16 to 25 volt rating. They're not like the Unitons where they stuff a bunch of 10 volters in there. But as you can see, these have been warm. Now this over here, this was just kind of an effect from the smoke that was let out of this section here. These caps, however, test very poorly. And these were from the sideband switch section, which is backed by the AM regulator. Now, I don't know if you remember what I said earlier in this video, but this sideband circuit has its own 12 volts when you flip over to there. When you flip over to AM, it shuts that 12 volts off to this circuit, and then just the AM works. Okay, so these are in that sideband circuit there, and these heat up quite a bit. There's like a a high temp resistor back there as well, and all three of those components are stuffed right in there. So the circuit works as it should. However, there is a lot of heat that develops. So I upgraded with some higher temp capacitors. Didn't change any values. That's not necessary. It's snake oil in my opinion. And same thing here. Just a better quality. Some Nichicons in there. I think there's a Panasonic high temp in there as well. So anyway, that's that. So no problem on the parts. Radio works as it should. I've been talking some skip on this thing barefoot on AM, made some sideband contacts. Of course, it sounds good on the monitors, which is really what counts. The on-the-air radio checks don't really mean much to me. But yeah, nice little rig. Man, she's a swinger. This thing's an audio monster. Yes, TR32 was taken out of this as well. So yeah, truck stop tube. All right, guys, leave questions or comments down below. Cheers. Oh, thanks for watching. And look, did you notice? A nod. So yes, it was worthy of a nod.